Hello and welcome to Business Intelligence MIS 776. My name is Richard Young and I'll be your professor this semester. I'm really looking forward to this class. I know we're going to have a great time. I know we're going to learn a lot. So let's get started. So for today, we're going to review the syllabus, review a few other things related to that. We're going to do a brief overview of the importance of business intelligence and data. What's the difference between a data analyst, BI professional, a data scientist, BI professional? In the next video, which will be a short video, I just want to make sure that you have all the tools you need to succeed in this class. They're easy to set up, they're all free, so that should be easy. And then fourth, you have an introduction and technically homework to do. Neither one of those things should take you very long. The first week of school is always very stressful, so I just want to go over the syllabus, go over the basics of this class, make sure you have all the tools you need to succeed, and then leave it be until next week. So about me, I recognize some of the names on the syllabus. My name is Richard Young. I've been in some of the classes with you before. I have a Master's of Data Analytics from UNLV. I graduated magna cum laude from UNLV in psychology. I also have a minor in ITE. I have a minor in neuroscience, and I have a minor in research honors, or Latin, I think is what they call it. Currently, I'm at UNLV studying computational neuroscience. I look at neurodegenerative diseases, particularly Parkinson's and other things. I'm very interested in neurodegenerative diseases because you can't physically see them. A lot of other diseases you can physically see. So that makes neurodegenerative diseases particularly of interest for me. They also mirror computational neurons. The neuron in a neural net is similar in some ways to a neuron in the human brain. So that's a very passionate area of interest for me. My grandmother passed of Parkinson's. That's one of the reasons I study Parkinson's. Additionally, besides being a full-time PhD student, I'm a full-time senior data scientist at Optum or United Health Group. Optum or United Health Group is a Fortune 5 company. It is the largest healthcare provider in the world. We serve over 100 million patients each year. It's a huge company. I think we have 300,000 plus employees. I'm part of Mountain West, which is now, I guess, considered Optum West. In my job, I do machine learning, I do clinical reporting, decision support intelligence, and compliance and more. Just recently, I submitted a patent on readmission rate in machine learning. Patents take forever, but I can tell you that one of the things that makes that patent unique is that it's data agnostic, meaning that you can use pretty much any data set you want, and it's also disease agnostic, meaning that, hey, it can work for any disease. Current methods of calculating readmission rates don't do this. They're very fixed. Here's my GitHub and my LinkedIn. I've written books, but the last book I worked on was as a senior technical editor for data engineering with Alteryx, which I'll demo in this class. As a senior technical editor, I had to go in and, you're the technical editor. You do a lot of the technical work on it. It's a data engineering book, so it's very, very database, very math heavy, very procedural based. In the past, I've taught in the electrical engineering department at CSN. I taught A+ certification, Network Plus, Cisco stuff, networking, intro to telecommunications, and a few others. If you're interested, here's that GitHub link. Right, so also I'm at UNLV, so this is part of my PhD. I work as a brain-derived data expert with machine learning. So brain-derived data is EKG, TDCS, any type of data we can get off of a brain. Brain data is very different than other types of data. In past experience, I've also worked at a lot of startups. I don't think it's listed on here, but I've worked at startups before. Some of my papers and publications, which I should update. Now, I cannot tell you how much I love data science research. And it's more than a job, it's more than a passion or anything else. It's almost a lifestyle. I remember once somebody saying, hey, I could never be stuck behind a desk every day and do the same thing. That's the whole point of what I love about my job is I don't do the same thing every day. I don't do the same thing every week. I'm given a new problem, and I have to figure out from just wording how to attack that problem. So I look at, well, one of the things I love doing is looking at wives' tales, urban legends, things like this that may or may not have data, and trying to figure out, is it true? What information do we have to support that or not to support that? Because you'd be surprised how much of medicine and business and other things we base our ideas on just nonsense. Things that, oh, somebody said this, somebody said that, and it's been perpetuated through, I don't know, 100 years, and it's just not true anymore. And there's countless examples of this. So that's one thing that I really love, is taking that hey, what about this, or I thought this, or what about this, and really diving in. What do we have to support that information? So before I get started, I don't say I want to make a sales pitch, but I want to make a sales pitch. I want to explain to you why this class is going to be of value. I think a lot of teachers should do that. To me, this is me explaining to you what you're going to get and the value it adds. You're spending your money to get something, and I want to explain what you're going to get, what tangible returns are you going to get. Because again, you can learn all these skills on YouTube, on Google, but I want to go beyond that. I want to give you something that you can walk away from and have value and know that, hey, after this course, I'm going to make more money. After this course, I'm going to know more. So I was at an academic conference, I was at a technical conference 3 months ago. We had an academic session. I just popped in really quick to see if it was anything interesting. And I met this author from the Wall Street Journal. And what he deals with, what his research is, and what his writing is as a journalist, is college and transferring that college knowledge to a real world. Are we doing good or are we doing bad? Are the degrees we're getting valuable or they're not valuable? Where's college working and where's college not working? And this is vital. In today's world, when you can learn to program outside of college, why should you go to college? And think about that for a second. We have so much knowledge. There's no book for this class. Everything that you're going to learn, you probably can either Google, I can tell you, we can, have weekly meetings. It's nothing magical. How I organize it and how I teach it is what gives it value. And that's what college is a lot about. So let's go into this a little bit. So what Jeff did, what his analysis did, was phenomenal. He looked at something called wage premium. So what is wage premium? So if 100 students graduate, why do some of them get more money and some of them don't? What is that deciding factor? Well, that deciding factor, so this is the major. So business major, what we are in, MBA, college of business, marketing, related support services. Well, if you have a major in business and you can show some type of data analytics skills, you'll get 33% more wage, salary. So let's think about that in real numbers. Let's think about that in terms of real life terms. So if you graduate and somebody says, hey, I want to give you a job for $100,000. Boom, you got a job for $100,000. Now, if you graduate and someone wants to give you a job and say, hey, I want to give you a job for $100,000, and oh, you have data analytics skills, you know how to use SQL, you know how to understand data, you know how to drive change, let me give you $133,000. $33,000 more a year at $100,000. That's significant. That's a third of your wage. But there's another way to think about it too. That's like having a third of the year off. If you both got the same pay, that's like having a third of the year off. It's a significant difference just because you have data analytics skills. And when Jeff was presenting about this, when he was talking about this, it's not like a minor. No. As long as you have a class, you can say, you put it on your resume, I know data analytics, I know SQL, I know some of these things, that's all you need. So we're not talking about a minor. We're talking about just having specialized skill classes on this would grant you a 33% increase. Now let's go to another one too, history. My grandfather was a history major. And now, if you have a data analytics specialization, we'll say, you can get 36% more wage, more salary. Think about that. That's a lot of money more. Now, what's really interesting about this, and it's not included in this slide, is that if you're a CS major, the data analytics gets you like 3 or 4% more. Now, why is that? It's almost counterintuitive. You have CS people that should know about data analytics. So if CS people have extra data analytics, wouldn't they get more money? No, because it's almost built into their wage. Now, if you're running a museum, a history museum, and you have an employee that has no data analytics, you have an employee that does have data analytics, and you're running that museum, a history museum, you want to have domain experts in history. But you also need to know how many people came to the door. What exhibit did they look at? How long did they look at the exhibit? How's the gift shop doing? Did they buy history books or did they buy pencils at the gift shop? These type of data analytics skills add value to history majors. Same thing with marketing people. Same thing with business people. These are skills that we don't have to teach you in the industry world because you come out with the data analytics. 33% more salary because you're taking a course like this or other courses. That shows you how valuable data is. Also, when I was looking for some additional resources, this is from the Burning Glass Institute, I want to mention one particular thing right here in the middle, this 64% Kaizen. I've taken a lot of classes in a lot of different places. And it's funny because you talk about a lot of these computer classes and these management classes and these MIS classes. And here's one thing that I don't think I've ever learned in a class. And we will talk about this in, I think, week 3 or 4. I go into lean methodology, Sigma 6, things like that. Maybe you've known some of these things. But what is Kaizen? Why is it important? And I'm thinking, hey, why haven't we ever taught this? And it's one of the most valuable skills, one of the newer skills that people are asking for. So I really want to make this class real life. So as you see when we go into the syllabus, this class is structured different. I grade differently. I treat you differently. I treat you like a business professional would. And we'll go into Kaizen in week 3 of this class or week 4 when we go into reporting and analytics. It is vital. It is vital. So let's go over the syllabus real quick. Actually, before we jump into the syllabus, this is that Article 2 that I have. This one's up on Web Campus. And again, it is why this class is valuable. Okay, so let's just go over a couple. The one you have to highlight. And when I give you an assignment, I don't need you to read every word of it. I need you to skim it and understand the big points. I need to understand the takeaways. So let's think about this. Sorry about that. I don't know why it wasn't showing the screen. So again, this is an article I've uploaded to Web Campus. You have access to it. You can download it. Everything that I post and present, I've gotten permission to use, or it's publicly available. All the images I have a license for, or I created. So why is data important? So this talks about skills gaps on company hiring. So not necessarily per se college, but hiring. Because again, after college, what do? You get a job. Before college, you still get a job. Hiring. So let's think about this. Let's dig into this for a second. Skill gaps that have appeared and companies are trying to close it. 44% respondents say organizations are facing gaps within the next 5 years. And they're talking specifically data engineering, data analytics gaps. 43% report existing gaps. So in other words, 87% say either experiencing gaps now or expect to experience them in a few years. That's a little pretty graph there. Now let's look on. What type of gaps in knowledge? What type of skills gaps are hiring people missing? What's number one? Data analytics. Data analytics is the number one gap people are missing. We can tie this back to the other publication or the other graph. Data analytics and history, data analytics, management, and business get you more money. Same thing here. Because they need data people. They need management people. They need executive management. These are the most common top 3. I should say top 3. I'm going to go down more. Top 3 reasons or top 3 skills that students or employees, applicants would be a better word, are missing. They're trying to get a job. Data analytics. And you're here, and that's what we're going to help you learn and move beyond data analytics. We're going to teach you how to take data analytics to the next level. What else we have here? Okay, so this is interesting. The second most common tactic cited by 56% of respondents, skill building. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, we have employees, and since we can't hire them fast enough, we might as well reteach them current employees we have. Now, this is vital because if you're in an organization right now, maybe you want to move to a different area, maybe you want to do something else. Most companies now, especially with the data analytics, are amenable to they like the idea that, hey, we have you, you've been reliable, you're a good employee, we'll spend the money, we'll train you in data. You know, at my company, in my division, we don't really necessarily hire on skills. You have to have a certain set of skills, yes, that's undeniable. But we hire on personality because those are things you can't teach. We can send you to college, you can learn Python. We can send you to college, we can teach you a lot of things. We can teach you how to use SQL. That's not in debate. How to be a hard worker. What college class is that? Maybe biochemistry. But at the end of the day, there's really no class on how to be a good person, how to be considerate to your coworkers, how to be honest, how to be on time, how to be hardworking. So most companies, if they have good employees, 60% of them are willing to teach them what they need to do in data analytics. Now, some of the reskilling programs, what employers basically want, critical thinking, decision making. This class is on decision support, leadership. Business intelligence is about leadership based on data. Advantage. So you're learning everything here. You're learning some of the most valuable skills that you can use in the next couple of years, the next 10 years at least. I mean, these are tangible, important skills. So I highly recommend you enjoy this class, you learn, and you use it as a foundation to take over the world. So again, the official class is MIS 776. This is the list. It's on Web Campus. Business Intelligence. I think it used to be called Business Analytics. Fall 23. My name is Richard Young. You can call me Richard. You can call me Professor Young, Professor Richard. I really don't care. Rick. If you see me at UNLV, feel free to come up and say hi. See me out in public. I enjoy meeting people, so don't be hesitant of that. I'll give you my cell phone. You can text me. You just be business professional 8 to 5. If you text me later than that, I won't respond until the next day. My email, super simple, ryoung, so not Richard Young, it's just ryoung at UNLV. You can't get it wrong. R-Y-O-U-N-G at UNLV, or you can contact me on Web Campus. Either method works. The course description, I'm not going to read that, but the course prerequisites. Now, I'm kind of flexible on the prerequisites. In my mind, the prerequisites encapsulate two major points. One, you have some type of data experience, SQL, or web ripping, or some way that you can get data. Number two, some class which you can do something with that data. So I'm very flexible on what that means to you. Maybe you had a class on how to rip web data and use R to process it. Very different than what I do, but still, that would work for me. Maybe you took a SQL class and used Python, very similar to what I do. That would work for me too. So those are two prerequisites. If you have questions, please let me know. This class, I don't want to dig in deep into programming. I don't want to dig in deep to SQL. I want to teach you big picture theory, critical thinking, and how to drive change. How to increase business performance. Okay. Continuing, there is no text. And we'll talk about this in the next slide after I'm done with the syllabus. I reviewed literally hundreds of books this summer, and a lot of the business intelligence books focus on business but no data, or they focus on data and a single tool. And I don't think that's right. In the real world, you use a lot of different tools, whether you want to or not. It's just to get to the result, you have to use a lot of different results. Evaluation method. Again, this is going to be evaluated more as a business, more as a real life scenario than in terms of traditional academic evaluation methods. I'm not going to give you a lot of tests. You have one final, 50 points. You are going to have a lot of smaller goal posts and one big goal post each month. So let's go into that. So you have, there's 16 weeks in theory. So you have class discussion. A class discussion is, I post a prompt, I post an article, I post something. I want you to write a sentence or two, a paragraph, a couple hundred words about that prompt. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me. I don't care. As long as it's professional and mostly articulate, you got that. You post the first one on Thursday. You have to post a follow-up from another student's comments by Sunday. Thursday and Sunday. Now, why is this important? Well, a lot of times when you get a job, it's by networking. And what is valuable in networking is communication. Communication is how you network. You can go to some type of industry mixer or some type of event UNLV has, or anywhere, some type of data science event they have downtown. And if you just stand in the corner and not talk to anybody, it's horrible. And I'm an introvert. But the thing is, though, I know about news. I know about new technology. And so if someone wants to talk about something, I can think, hey, what news stories are out there? What, can I talk related to what he's interested in? I had a department meeting 3 days ago. I met somebody from Canada, and we were able to talk about machine learning and typing. And I was able to think of a couple different articles I remember from a couple years ago about how machine learning can predict typing, and we can use it in brains. So we got along. He'll remember me, and I remember him. His name is Sam. So that is the point of the discussion. Discussion is I provide you a prompt that's relevant to the industry and to the world, and you provide feedback, agree, don't agree, you want to expand on it, you want to post your own articles, that's all fine by Thursday. And then you reply to one of your students by Sunday. So there's 11 of those, I think one extra credit one. So that's that. Homework. Again, homework's due weekly. There's 7 homework assignments. The homework assignment says, I show you how to do something, I post a video, I give you code, and you have to do something very similar. My job's not to make it super hard on you. You don't need to like refactor 10,000 lines of code. That's not what the goal is. The goal is I give you some code and you dive down a little bit deeper. You want to know why is it this way? You know, why is the dashboard showing me this? So 7 homework assignments. So 1 every other week. Now we have 3 major projects. They're major is a loose term, okay? So don't stress out. 1's individual, 2 of them are groups. Okay. Now, as a student in the past and in the future, I know we all hate group projects. Let me rephrase that. I think about 90% of the people hate group projects. So why do I do them? Because in the business world, group projects are vital. Every day, I'm working on a project with other people. Sometimes those people are in my office. Sometimes those people are across the country, in Ireland or in India or anywhere. And to be able to interface, articulate, and work together with a group of diverse people is so vital. And that's especially true at UNLV. Because UNLV, we're such a melting pot, such a diverse campus. It's vital that we can understand each other's perspective because we can gain so much more from that. So let's dive into these projects real quick. There's much more detailed information on Web Campus. So the first project, the first proposal, okay, is due at the end of the month. So this is due the end of September, this is due at the end of October, and this is due at the end of November. Just like a business, you have certain projects that are due at the end of the month. That end of the month falls on Wednesday, it's due on Wednesday. That end of the month falls on a Friday night, it's due on Friday night. Okay, that's a lot of times how real business works. It's due at the end of the month. So the research idea proposal, that's an individual project that you do. Basically, it's a short paper on how data and intelligence can impact or change an area of interest for you. It could be something you're working at work. It could be something you work on for school. It could be something completely different. But what I'm looking for, and like I said, when we go into this a little bit more, I think next week I'll cover a little bit more detail. I want to know, hey, if possible, if you could do anything, what would you do in terms of data and making a change in the world? And I have more details. There are 4 basic points. And that's it. The data analytics project. Okay, the data analytics project is I give you a data set, or you find a data set, and you derive or you provide me intelligence from that. It could be through Tableau, it could be through Python, it could be through SPSS. I want to know what this data set is and why it adds value. How it's valuable. What can I do to ensure the next step If I run a used car lot and I give you a data set of my used car sales, is it a better time to sell cars certain months? I mean, how does the price of gas affect used cars? I mean, think about that. So if gas prices go up, do you think people are getting newer, more energy efficient cars? So what does that do to the used car market? These are questions that data analytics project that I'm hoping we can answer. And then finally, a group teaching project. So about group size real quick. I think there's about 20 students in this class. And I'm thinking between 3 and 4 students per group, so maybe 5 groups. The group teaching project. That is, I want you to sell me an idea. I know that sounds shameful, but it's not. So if you want a product, you want a new tool, you want something at work, you have to explain to me or the class in general, why is it valuable? Why is it a problem? Why do we need it? I mean, we haven't had it so far. Why do we need it? How is it going to help? And how are we going to recoup our costs? Now, not all things have direct, cost recoupment and things like that. But, I'm going to teach Alteryx, or I'm going to do a demo of Alteryx. I'm not requiring Alteryx in this class because it runs on a PC only. But I'm going to do a demo of Alteryx, how it's helpful. It's an expensive program. I think we spend at our company $10,000 to $15,000 a year per user. And I know 4 or 5 users in our area, so that's $100,000 a year just for software. So when I first presented Alteryx, I was the first user in our group, Pac West or Mountain West, to use it. I had to justify why we're spending 15 grand for software. That's kind of what I want you to do. You say, hey, I love Pandas. Here's how it can help. Here's what it did before. Here's how we can use it more efficiently. Here is this product. Here is, and it can be a product. It can be a technology. Maybe some type of new database. I'm going to cover data virtualization. And it's kind of the next level of databases where instead of actually having a data lake, you have this kind of hybrid model. Maybe cover that. Maybe cover Snowflake. There's so many new technologies out there. I want to know what the new technology is. I want you to transfer that knowledge to me and explain to me why we should adopt it. And finally, a take-home final. I think these are each worth 100 points. This is worth 50 points. The take-home final is not something to stress. We can have a review. It's cumulative, but it's not going to be hard. So, I want you to focus on the projects. In the real world, in business, this is what we focus on. I've worked for probably 20 years in different corporations, and I've almost never had somebody give me a test. And every year we have cybersecurity training, we have all these different trainings, we have them here at UNLV. Nobody ever gives me a test. I'm never forced to take a test. The only time I ever have to take a test is through city training. But literally, I never take a test at work. So test is just not part of the corporate world, not part of the business intelligence world. Finding knowledge and how we can use that knowledge, that's everything. Nothing else really matters. So this class is Web Campus, 100% asynchronous. Down at the bottom, I'll cover when I release videos, everything else like that. Class attendance, this is graduate school. I'm not going to hold your hand. So you can, come and do your work anytime as long as things are met. As long as things are turned in by the required time, you're good to go. Class assignments, so discussions, again, are individual. The homework's individual. If you're having problems, there is a discussion board. You can feel free to post it. If you share code, I ask that you CC me first. You consult me first. I'll work with you. Assignments will vary in structure. Now, the exam policy. There's one exam. It's a take-home exam. You'll have over a week to do it. If you miss it, please let me know. But I don't understand how, if I give you a week or longer to do something, how you cannot complete it. So, speaking of that, we have an incomplete policy, which I'll go into in a bit. So now the library resources. I expanded on this, and I'm a big proponent of libraries. Now, traditionally, when we think of libraries, we think of librarians, and we go and check out a book. And regretfully, that's not what libraries are anymore. I'm hoping everyone at this level now knows how to do an interlibrary loan. I hope they work with librarians to find additional data sources. I hope they understand different data points in terms of different databases, ProQuest, different ways to find data. Now, In the business world, we don't use libraries per se, do we? Well, yeah, we do, but just a little bit differently. A couple months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I'm trying to think, but maybe 4 months ago, I had a project where we weren't sure if one of the businesses was doing well or not. Okay, and we've had this problem before, with disease. Well, is the doctor doing a good job with the disease, or is the doctor doing a bad job with the disease? Well, this was a whole line of business. Do we know that they're accepting patients at a business level, or they're not? I mean, if I say, I don't know, you're doing 18 miles per hour, are you speeding or not? Maybe in a school zone you are, maybe on the highway you're not. You have to have context. And in business, context is so important. Well, so we had this project where, again, we want to know, are we accepting at the acceptable rate? Maybe it's 60%. So you refer a patient and we accept it at 60%. Is that good or bad? Do we need improvement? Do we need to accept more patients? Do we need to accept less patients? So we went to a librarian. We have one at Optum. We have journals, and we looked and we scoured for months. And you know what? We couldn't find any relevant data. So we have to do our own research now, which is much more expensive. Much more expensive, much more labor intensive to try to get an approximation of whether or not we're doing a good job or not. Where, in other areas, I can just literally email a librarian, hey, I'm looking for articles related to this and data related to that, and what can you do to help me? So please, I implore you, please get to know your librarian, work with librarians. They're not just people that give you books. I mean, they can help with data, they help with organization, they can do so much. I highly recommend. Over the summer, I emailed Patrick 3 or 4 times. He also does patents. If you have an idea at UNLV, you think it might be patentable, you can talk to Patrick. I mean, so talk to your librarians. They know a lot. Now, continuing on. So the ground truth, the official thing, just came out a couple days ago, and I haven't had time to rework my whole syllabus. But UNLV has an academic policy for students. It's right here. Let me load it up here. Okay, so this is the official UNLV policy, and the advantage of this webpage is that it can be updated anytime. Academic misconduct, like for example, when I did the syllabus, there was no ChatGPT thing in there, which we'll talk about because I encourage use of ChatGPT. Classroom conduct, all different types of things. So I encourage you to look at this. If you have any questions, please contact me, but we're going to jump back to the syllabus. There we go. I think you can see that now. Okay. So public health is class online, so I'm not sure how much it relates to us. Academic misconduct. You should review the academic misconduct and other link, but it can be using plagiarism. It can be a lot of different things. Auditing, of course, as an undergraduate, I audited a lot of courses. I always recommend it. Sometimes you just want to know more. And the nice thing about auditing a course, you don't have to take any tests, you don't have to do anything you don't want. There's no grade assigned. You just go into class, you learn what you want, and you don't want to learn it. I almost thought about auditing a course this semester because I really don't have time to study and do all the, basically a math class. I don't have time to do all this stuff. It's not a subject I'm really interested in. I just don't have time. Classroom conduct. So anybody with a pager, make sure you turn off your pager. In all seriousness, I expect business professional conduct. Okay, so no, not sir, ma'am, but just, if it's something that would be acceptable in a conservative company, an insurance company, a pharmaceutical company, some type of company like that, maybe not a startup, but some type of company like that, I would expect that in here. If you ever have any question, you can always email me. I can tell you if it's okay to post, not post. Please, just have business professional conduct. Copyright, you should always review UNLV's copyright. All the materials I've gotten or used for this class, I've tried or I have received permission from the author or publishing company. I've all the images I use are licensed or my own images. DRC is a great resource to students. Often people think DRC is just simply for physically disabilities, but it's also they deal with a lot of mental disabilities. I highly recommend contacting DRC. If you're not sure if you qualify for DRC, contact them. They can refer you out to the practice here at UNLV. Sorry about that. Finals week. So my final's not going to be something to be scared about. My final's not going to be hard. We're going to have a week, at least a week to do it. I want you to succeed. What does that mean for me? For you to succeed, that means you have to pass all your classes. You have to put in an appropriate amount of work. You have to study. You have to learn. You have to grow. You can't do that if you're so stressed that you can't think straight. So my final is relatively easy. You have study weeks. Focus on other classes. You have plenty of time to do my final. I'll give you at least a week. It's take home. I mean, it's an online class. It has to be. So there's that. Identification verification. So all this material is available on Web Campus. You have to use your ACE ID. I think ACE ID now requires two-form authentication. So there's that. So I talked a little bit about incomplete grades. Now, UNLV's official policy is, I think, 3/4 of the class. In the past, I've given out incompletes much sooner than that, like halfway or even a quarter of the class. So I don't know if anybody's ever explained to you what an incomplete is, but I'm going to give you 2 or 3 examples and explain an incomplete. In the past, when I've given incompletes, is a student had a death in the family, their father was outside the country. This was an in-person class, so they had to fly outside the country. They had to make funeral arrangements and other things. They would have missed approximately a month worth of education material. I've offered to send the homework, do whatever I can to make sure they succeeded, or to offer them an incomplete. They took the incomplete, and then next semester they retook the class and passed it. That's an excellent example of incomplete. Maybe you have a car accident and you're in the hospital and you can't get caught up. Those are excellent reasons for an incomplete. Now, if I don't hear from you and you stop attending class, you stop doing the homework, you stop submitting things, you'll get an F. If you're late all the time, you'll get an F. So, library resources we talked about. Again, missed work. Things have a deadline. In business, in life, and everything else, we all have deadlines. I can't do this class in 3 weeks. I have a deadline. I have to do these videos. You have a deadline when you have to do discussions, homework, and the projects. If you're late, without either a UNLV-sponsored policy, some type of medical note, or some reason, you basically got a 0 on that project. It goes a little bit more into detail here. Rebel Mail. I will provide you my cell phone. You can text me. You can try to call me from 8 to 5, let's say, business hours, or 8 to 6, whatever works for you. I'm pretty flexible in that. I'm more of a morning person, so if you need to go earlier, I can do that. If you text me after those times, it just, I don't know, just goes to do not disturb, and I don't see it. My email is super simple, ryoung@UNLV. You can't make a mistake on that. ryoung@UNLV. You can hit me up on Canvas. I'm a computer nerd, so I'm online all the time. So please feel free to contact me or text me. Title IX, UNLV is a great campus in terms of diversity. I think it's one of the things that make UNLV one of the strongest and most prolific education institutions on the West Coast. And I implore you to respect everyone and know that any type of discrimination, any type of violence, anything else is not acceptable. Even though this document doesn't say that, UNLV does have also a domestic violence, office. I can get you in contact with them. So please, just be business professional. There's tutoring. There's a writing center. The writing center will not write assignments for you. The writing center will help you with the structure. They'll help you with things like that. Tutoring and coaching, same thing. Please remember, you're never alone. If you ever feel suicidal, if you ever feel alone, there's resources, there's people that will help you. Okay? UNLV is a very diverse campus. I've been told in the top 5, I think we looked last year, we're in like the 1 or 2 of the most diverse institutions in the nation. Something to be very proud of. Land acknowledgement. We're on a land of indigenous people. Growing on that, I'm a big camping fan. I highly recommend that you travel this great state and see the outdoors. It's amazing. Some of the petroglyphs, some of the natural wonder of Nevada and the Southwest. It's a great way to acknowledge the land, is to use the land respectfully. So now my policies, because these are a little bit different than what you see in traditional classes. My policies. Yes, the good news is you can use ChatGPT. Why? Because in my work, we use ChatGPT all the time. Now, the way it works at my work is that you have to apply for access, and I don't know, maybe only 10 or 20 people out of my office complex have it out of, I don't know, 1,000. But my company knows that ChatGPT is valuable. That ChatGPT and other, we have a bunch of them, other large language model tools are very, very valuable. I use it often for refactoring code because I don't want to hit find and replace a million times. So I allow you to use ChatGPT. Now, last semester, I was using ChatGPT on a research project, and I had to get security clearance. I had to get from UNLV, IT, it was a nightmare. Since this is an academic classroom, we have that freedom to encourage, I have the freedom to encourage you to use ChatGPT. Now, the caveats on that, and I want to be extra clear. When you use ChatGPT, you have to let me know. Obviously, I don't care because I'm saying you can use it. But you have to cite it. Say, hey, code assistance by ChatGPT, English by ChatGPT. I use Bard, okay? Now, if you use Bard, I don't think you use your UNLV email address. I think you have to use another email address, a non-UNLV email address. Let me check that real quick. So this is my UNLV account. I don't know if you see it, but yeah, R Young at UNLV. You're signed into R Young at UNLV. If you're signed into Google, you may have not enabled it. But if you have another account, such as just a regular Gmail account, personal account, I won't know what account it is. You can just go to bar.google and use it. And here's an example of that. So paste these notes. There we go. It's a different account. And here we go. What are the top 10 reasons to learn business intelligence? So BART is just like ChatGPT or any other LLM. Okay, so feel free to use them. Again, as long as you cite them. And when I say cite them, it doesn't have to be APA, it doesn't have to be MLA. No, you just have to kind of tell me either in the discussion post or in the bottom of the paper, in the footnotes, or somewhere. Hey, I got help by Bard, and it's not just LLM. You know, Copilot, which I believe is part of GitHub, which we'll cover a little bit. You say, hey, I use Copilot. So if you get help from a large language model, just let me know. That's all I'm asking. I don't care. It's not going to affect your grade. I encourage it. A lot of this class is about solving problems. And books, websites, things like this don't always have the tools you need to get you to the solution. And please use the tools at your disposal, which is this or other things. Now, again, I have to be absolutely clear. Failure to cite that you use these tools will result in a 0 for the assignment. Okay? Now, 2 more real quick issues. I allow OpenAI, ChatGPT, this type of large language model, artificial intelligence. Not all professors, or not many professors, do. I can't think of a single other professor that is so liberal and so allows ChatGPT to be used so heavily in their class. So you have permission to use it in my class only. Other professors, you have to contact them. You have to work with them on what their policies are. Number one, that's number one. Number two, you're responsible for the output of it. So if ChatGPT tells you something and it's completely made up or completely not correct, and you post it without verifying it or checking it, that's on you. Not on me, not on ChatGPT, that's on you. Google's had this problem in the past. I think they did some, again, we talk about discussion, great discussion point. I can say, hey, I need a few examples of when ChatGPT was incorrect or Google was incorrect, the LLMs were incorrect. I believe Google had a problem months ago when they released one of their, it might have been Bard, and it just made up complete facts. I know recently a lawyer, I had this discussion, recently a lawyer got in trouble because it made up law cases or cited case law that didn't exist. So please verify your LLM. And third and finally, well, there's 2 more. Never ever use any protected information in an LLM, either my class or in any class. So maybe you're working on that data analytics project and you have social security numbers in there for some reason, or you have HIPAA data. If you post that to an LLM, whoever runs that LLM will have access to that. So please don't do that. Don't post passwords in LLM. Okay? or ChatGPT. When I say LLM, I mean any type of ChatGPT type system, because you can lose that. That data can be shared with other people, and we've seen this in GitHub and Copilot. So, and finally, just know this: any work that a computer generates, as far as right now, and as far as my understanding of the law, that's not copywritten. So if you come up with a great idea and you do ChatGPT or you do some type of large language model that computer generated it, it may not be copyrightable. You may not be able to file a patent on it. It may have certain limitations. So please be aware of that. These are your learning objectives. So this is what I hope to impart on you. When you're done with the class, you should be able to do each one of these. I'm not going to go over them because you can read them. Here's the course objective. I'll spend a minute or two on this. So this here, okay, so discussions. As I said, we basically have a discussion every week, kind of until the midterm. This is where the midterm is. There's no formal midterm. I'm just going to talk about data ethics, which we're talking about. So you have a lot of little discussions. The homeworks, so setting up tools this week. Next week, it's going to be basically accessing data from those tools, Tableau visualization. But what you do notice is that these research projects are due at the end of the month. It's actually, I need to put lines on this, I guess. But so that's due the end of September. On Web Campus, it has more details. The end of October, the data analytics project's due. And the end of November, the group teaching project's due. Okay? The way this class is broken down is basically, hey, we get data, we do something with data, and then kind of midterm, which kind of throws a wrench in everything. We do something else with data, and then we kind of drive decision on data. Now, the last two classes, I'm planning on doing on decision intelligence. It's just hard finding good, accurate, academically reliable information on decision intelligence. So if I can find some more information, we'll kind of switch these around instead of grid tuning and grid searches to decision support, which I think is vital. A lot of companies get good data, they get good reports, but they never institute that change. And that's something I really want to drive into this class is how do you drive institutional change? Okay, now what should you expect from me? Each week I plan to release 1 to 2 hours on Monday of lecture, didactic material. That's what this is. And we're going to go in Power BI, we're going to go into what is BI next. So on Monday, you have 1 or 2 hours for this week, and also as soon as they get caught up, you have it for next week. So you always have approximately 2 weeks of material anytime you want to review it. I'm going to release a demo. On most weeks, I'll release a demo. We have about 30 minutes to an hour of me doing something, coding something, or showing you how to do something, and I'll share the code. That's what you'll be basing your homework on. Additionally, I'll have industry readings, learnings, news articles, Medium articles, YouTube, anything I can get a good prompt out of that I think is vital for you to know. And this is kind of where your discussion goes on, but it could be also just outside learning. I'll put it on the module section. Office hours is needed. So feel free to contact me. I'm here to help you succeed. Now, my expectations of you. Now, the discussion post. Again, there's 11 discussion posts plus 1 extra credit in theory. The initial post, you read what I have. It takes 10-15 minutes, and you write a post 10-15 minutes. The initial post must be done by Thursday. The response from 2 other students must be done by Sunday night. So this week we have a discussion. There's no response. There's just one. But on every other week besides this week, we'll post an article. You'll post reply. You can agree with me, disagree with me. You can add your own articles. You just have to have an articulate couple paragraphs on your initial post and maybe a few sentences on your response by Sunday. If you have questions, please let me know. Please don't let that fall through the cracks. It's vital that you do. Homework, again, is due by Sunday. It shouldn't take you more than 1 to 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. If you're running a little slower, you forget what you're doing, that's fine. The group projects are due at the end of the month. There's 2 group projects, 1 individual product. Sorry about that. Now here is Web Campus. Again, as with everything in life, this is subject to change without notice. I love that saying. This looks a little different because this is before the class starts, so I can't really show you the student view because you won't see anything. Announcements and updates. I'll try to use announcements as frequently as I can to let you know what's going on. Discussion and help. Each week there's going to have a discussion. Well, like I said, 11 out of the 16 weeks, 12 out of 16 weeks, we'll have a discussion. So that can be found here. Modules, that's where the bulk of the learning and material is in. This is a week-by-week plan. It's just a general overview of, hey, hey, we get data, we review data, we derive knowledge, we make a decision, okay? First post by Thursday, follow up by Sunday. You get one major project a month. So here, discussion this week, kind of what we're doing. So on 9/25, Python for data analytics. There's no homework that week because, again, you have the research project. We're talking about clustering and dimensionality on October 30th. So for Halloween, you're going to learn about clustering and dimensionality. And you have your analytical project too. So kind of a little bit more in detail. Okay, let's go back here to the home. Let's go into the module. Additional resources we'll talk about. I'll have that at the end of this slide too. But those are just extra resources. So let's go to modules. So your module setup looks similar to this. Okay, here's our article we talked about earlier. Here's our introduction discussion post. So, hey, what's your name? What's your major? Where are you at? I'm third year graduate. First year undergraduate. Whatever. I use Mac and PC. So currently I'm doing this on a Mac, but I can switch over to PC. I have both machines. At work I use a PC all the time. I know a lot of students use Mac, so either way, or use both. What experience do you have? Your technical skills. Remember that. Why are you taking, what's your interest in business? Why are you taking this? Remember that slide. I want to gain money. I want to gain skill. I want to learn. Just kind of explain why are you taking this. What do you hope to gain? At the end of the semester, what tangible skills do you hope to have? Maybe you just want to be able to influence people around you in terms of business. And it's just a fun fact. I'll reply to mine here. I'll reply to this here in a bit, but that's that. So let's go back to modules. So week 1, see how the little spider lets you click there. So week 1, course intro and BI. That's what this is. The video tool setup. That's basically the homework. That's a demo. I'm going to show you how to get access to all the tools you need to succeed. We might add tools, but this is at least a bare minimum of what I can think that you'll need to succeed in this class. You have to write the introduction, due by September 3rd, and you have to submit the homework, due by September 3rd. Oh no, let's look at the homework. Oh, how bad can it be? So you have to get an account here. You have to do this. I'll go over this all in demo in the next video. You have to have MySQL Workbench, things like that. So to do the homework, you literally can just copy this and say, I can put X here or reply and say, I did it. I don't need screenshots. I don't need any proof. I'm running this like a business class. If you tell me you did it, I take your word that you did it. I trust but verify. So, I'll have homework that says you did this. Now, in 3 months, if you have to use Tableau and you're like, oh, you know what, I never did Tableau, we're not that we're going to have a problem, but I'm going to doubt a lot more of what you do. You're losing that trust. If you tell me you install Tableau and you got Tableau working, or you tell me that you got Power BI installed and working, and I trust you, and then in 3 weeks, you need help installing Power BI, I'm going to wonder what happened with week 1. Did you not install it? Did you reformat your computer? Why are you asking me this again? Okay, so literally all you'd have to do is copy and say, I completed the following tasks, or put X's in here. So the homework's not, again, monumentally hard. So I want you to focus on learning higher level things. So let me continue on the syllabus and we'll wrap this up here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, there's that. Okay, so let's see, what can we learn really quick? Again, why are you here? Is it a required class? I know it's not necessarily a required class, but maybe you want to graduate sooner. You want to learn about data and business. Businesses that use data do better. There's empirical evidence on that. You want to grow. I'm always looking to become better. One of the vital skills in that we look for in our work is people that are willing to grow. Because we can teach you Python, we can teach you skills, So, are you willing to grow? But we can't teach somebody if they're not willing to grow. Just want to make more money. And we saw in an article a couple slides back that if you have data analytics skills and mostly business intelligence, you'll make more money. So let's dive in. So why no book for this class? Because this affects a lot of us moving forward. I reviewed, these are just some of the books. I have another stack just as high, and I have probably twice as many ebooks, PDFs, things like this. I looked at all the books, and there's no single books. Like this book here, AI Powered Business Intelligence. Great book, released this year, maybe late last year. It covered Power BI, and that's it. Well, at work, and most people's work, use multiple tools to get your solution. I mean, I know that when I drive to work, I take multiple roads. You don't think you use multiple tools to get your solution at work? You do. You will always. So having a book that focuses on one tool, I'm not going to encourage that type of learning. You get too pigeonholed. I think Data Smart uses Excel and nothing but Excel. So I also did a bunch of online classes. Here's that Google Business Intelligence class a lot of people talked about. It's supposed to be a very popular class, but it lacked any hard doing. It had a lot of didactic knowledge, but not a lot of SQL queries, not a lot of data pulling, not a lot of doing. So that's why I really want to make this class different. I fix those two problems literally by having videos, both the didactic for 1 hour and sometimes a demo for half an hour to an hour, that will give you the tools you need to understand what we're trying to impart on you. You have homework and discussions, which are literally short-term projects. I have those every day. When I go back to work tomorrow, I can think of 2 or 3 projects I gotta start taking care of. Short-term projects, an hour or two. Your short-term projects shouldn't take more than an hour a week, maybe 2 hours a week. Okay? Just make sure you do them. Don't be late. If you're late, you get 0. Your research project, those are bigger, longer-term projects. And I'm not talking like a 60-page paper. 1 page, 4 pages, 5 pages, 6 pages, 1 dashboard. Whatever you need to communicate the idea with me is fine. Probably 2 to 3 pages. So, I mean, not anything complex. Maybe a couple references, maybe a screenshot or 2, maybe 5 pages total, maybe. I'm going to do a couple of these to give you an example of what I'm looking for. Also, I'm going to try to post learning from external sources. I have a link here on the Web Campus page. There's a external learning link. It has links to like free Python books, Scikit-Learn, LinkedIn Learning from UNLV. These resources are invaluable. So please check that out. Again, as I talked about, kind of the overlap of this class, we don't care really about the setup. So getting data, kind of reviewing the data, deriving knowledge from data, and then driving that decision home. Okay, that's kind of how it breaks down. So what is Power BI? So this is a data science process. So I'm a data scientist by trade, I guess. And I've been doing decision science for the last couple of years. And I've been doing decision science because I want to know why you want this information. So in the data science process, we ask, and you'll see other derivatives of this. There's a data modeling one that's almost identical. We ask an interesting question. You get the data. Again, that's what we just talked about, SQL. That's why you need some type of web ripping. You explore the data. Is it what we're expecting? Is the data free of crazy variables? I mean, if I ask you for referrals and you give me admissions, that's something different. If I ask you for sales and you give me profit, there's something different. Okay, so we have to think about that. If I ask you for the total enrollment versus total graduating rates, those are 2 different numbers. So do we have what we wanted when we explore the data? We model the data, and that just means we try to fit it to a model, we try to predict it, we try to tell us where it's going, okay? And finally, this is one of the parts that I think is undersold, but it's the most important part of data science, one of the most important. Communicate and visualize the results. We have to be able to communicate what we find and explain it to other people. And as a data scientist, that's vital. As a business intelligence expert, that's even more vital. I got this from Gartner, and it is just phenomenal. It's the same idea. We have raw data, okay? used car business, okay, context, what type of data is that? How can I apply context to that data? How can I have the domain experts explain to me what it is? Then from there, what is that data telling me? Are my sales up 1 month over month? Did I take a dip? Is this business doing bad? What is that data telling me? And then from there, once I have the analytics, I can make a decision. And then I can start over again. Because in theory, if I make a good decision, I should see something increase. If I make a, or decrease, depends on what you're really looking at. Or if I make a bad decision, something's going to bad happen. Raw data, we add context to it, which is basic ETL, Explore, EDA, things like that. Can't predict machine learning or basic modeling. And then, hey, what does that tell us to do? This is the key of business intelligence. Now, it looks very simple, but it's not. It becomes super complex super quickly. And I want to keep this class as enjoyable and at critical thinking level as possible. So I'm just going to walk through a couple of these things really quick. So data sources, this is what I talked about in the beginning of the syllabus. You have to be able to access data. SQL, semi-structured would be maybe CSV, a flat file, text structured, unstructured, just Wikipedia or dictionaries. Well, dictionaries are actually structured, but things like this. Then we ingest it. We put it in a data lake, which we'll cover in a little more detail. We validate it. Again, that's part 2. We clean it. Maybe we have duplicate data. Maybe we have bad data. Who knows? We have standardization. We have multiple different date formats. I told you that I work with teams from India and Ireland. Their date formats are different. So when I get data from them, I have to standardize that date. Okay. Then what features are important? What features aren't important? We develop a model. Okay. We kind of package and let other people use that model. We start the whole process again. This gives a really kind of good idea of how it gets complex so quickly. Because again, maybe one person just works in this whole realm his whole life. Maybe the book I worked on, data engineering, was all in this area. DBAs often do this area. So it can become very, very complex. So evolution of business intelligence technology. This is I love this chart. So now reporting. Reporting is just, it could be compliance reporting, which I do some of. It can be financial reporting. You're just telling us kind of what happened. That's the whole history. Hey, Pearl Harbor happened on this day. It's just reporting. Now the analysis, a lot of it is whether people will call ad hoc or as needed. Basically, ad hoc reporting is a type of analysis that is, you may not have a pipeline for it. You're just doing an analysis. How many sales happened last month? What are we going to get next month? Monitoring, it's just a dashboard. Are we meeting our goals? We can talk about police officers. Are they giving out 40 tickets? Hey, well, last year the Metropolitan Police gave out 100 tickets. Now that is 1 ticket per 100 person, whatever. Monitoring is, hey, are we doing it well this year? Well, as Vegas grows, we need to have X number of officers. And this is where the real value is, right here, the predictions. This is what I do, and this is what business intelligence is all about. It's prediction most of the time. Not to say that you don't do these other things. Like I said, for the U.S. government and for so many things, we just do compliance reporting. It's probably 10% of my job. But prediction, for staff prediction, I recently worked on a project. We need to know how many doctors we need in December. It's a very complex thing because one doctor can see 10 patients an hour, and there's all these formulas. So how many doctors are we going to need in December? We can't really look at the last couple of years because of COVID. So I had to develop a model to come up with predictions to know how many doctors to hire. If I'm wrong, I'm sure I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. If I'm right, that's good. We're going to save the company money. So here's a little bit more. Again, you have these slides, so I'm not going to go over this, but basically the goal of business is to enhance operational efficiency. We go back to Kaizen and Lean and Sigma 6. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Secure a competitive edge. Well, we want to do things cheaper, faster, better, in theory, if you do all 3 of those things, than our competitors. Uncover new markets, uncover new opportunities. Okay? Now, one of the questions that commonly gets asked is, what's the difference between data analytics and Power BI, or business intelligence expert? Sorry, I keep saying Power BI. It's a tool I use, and it's just ingrained in my head. So I was reading a blog recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it said data analysts can never answer this question. For example, you want to calculate the average age of your customers by total amount spent. You need a business intelligence officer. Like, if I had a data analytics person that could not answer this question, I would be very upset. You can answer it in Excel. It's a very, very easy question. You want to calculate the average age of your customers by the total amount spent by your top 10% of your most loyal customers. And in a lot of ways, that's a very academic question too. Now, me as a business intelligence expert, or me as a data scientist, or me as a person that does this in the real world, when I see that question, I would never answer that. Really, one of the first things I would do personally is saying, hey, what are we trying to get to? What's our goal? We are doing this because we want to understand X in order to get to Y. Okay? And I would ask the 10,000 overfoot view, why are you asking me this question? Where are you hoping to go? And once I understood that, then I would ask, okay, calculate the average age. So you want active customers or you want inactive customers? And I assume some way active, maybe in the last year they bought something or they don't have, their accounts isn't turned off. So you want active customers. So I'm assuming you want to make more money from them. So let me get rid of inactive customers. You want the total amount spent or profit? Because there's a big difference. I can give you the total amount spent, but that doesn't equal profit. You know, when we think about restaurants, do you want the total number of foot traffic per month? How many people come in the door? Or do you want the profit per month per customer? Completely different things. Completely different things. So do you want the amount spent or do you want the profit per month? And do you want it for the last year? I mean, this doesn't give me a year. You want it for the last year, last 5 years, last 10 years? You know, I mean, if you're trying to do something, if you're talking about a physical business 2 or 3 years ago, we had COVID. So it's going to be completely different metrics than it's going to be this year. And when you say top 10% of your most loyal customers, how are you defining that? Are you defining it as a loyalty program? Or you customers that maybe been on, you've had orders from more than 5 years? Maybe customers that had more than 500 orders. So while I disagree with the original article that I was reading, most people can answer this, but they're not going to get intelligence from this. They're not going to derive knowledge from this. This question you can derive knowledge from. This question, more or less, you can derive enough knowledge that you can make a decision on how to target those customers and increase profit. I'm not going to go over this in great detail because it's just the difference between data analytics and Power BI. Like the next one is data science and Power BI. But it gives you kind of an understanding because we hear these terms and we're not always sure what the difference is. Now, there's a caveat to this, and before I continue too much, big companies, everything will be much more segmented. So you might have a DBA, a database administrator, you might have a data engineer, you might have a power business intelligence guy, you might have a data scientist, you might have a data analyst, you might have 10 guys, 10 people doing the same thing, okay? In a small company, I mean, I worked in a startup, there was 3 tech people. You know, I was a database administrator, I was a website administrator, I was a backup administrator, I was everything, okay? The other guy was a CIO, and he did a lot of the policy writing. So he was he wrote all the risk policies and fire policies and, hey, if we get hack policies and all the press release policies, things like that. So it really depends on the size of your company. But business intelligence, at the end of the day, in my mind, is the ability to take data you have and make actionable, intelligent decisions from that. Not just data. Hey, I want profit for the last 3 months. Well, do you want profit or do you want sales? Or what are you really trying to get at? Because sometimes what you're asking me is not really what you want. So I'm either thinking about doing a separate video of this or just, but basically this is the same information that's in that week 1 module. So I'll do a demo of setting up tools. Please watch it. You know, again, I'm very flexible on tools. If you already have a Python like VS Code, you can use that. I'll show you how to set up Colab from Google. It's free. It's a great tool. Post an intro of yourself. I'll post mine here in a little bit. Don't forget to do the homework saying, hey, I set up the tools. And don't worry. I know the first week of school is intense and everything moves really quickly, but this is going to be a great class. We're going to get through this. I'm very passionate about this, and I hope to inspire the same passion and that same level of motivation to you. Thank you.